Hey, what's up guys? First and foremost, I'd just like to apologise for not making any videos for a while. My window broke, which means you could hear the traffic outside like all the time, so I just couldn't make any videos. So without wasting any more time, let's hop in. So we are playing Bushwhacker Zoo again. I've made a lot of changes, I've tested it a lot, so I just think that it's worth revisiting just to show you my updates and yeah, just try it out again. So first of all, we'll start with the land base. 19 land was too many lands basically, so we've cut it down to 17. We've also taken out anything which doesn't produce red. The temple gardens and the temple gardens and the forest. I just found that you need to pretty much always have red, especially now that we've added more red spells to the actual creatures and things like that. You just need to always have red. And the other difference is that we have cut the Windswept Heaths for Bloodstained Mire again, just to always be able to get red. I know obviously you can get like Stomping Grounds and things like that, but because the deck's more red orientated, it's just more efficient on your life total to be able to fetch a red basic instead of a Temple Garden to fetch a Shockland to get red. So yeah, that was my thinking behind that. Nothing crazy, like you could play a Copperline Gorge over like a Stomping Ground or something, but this has been working for me. Like you need to have mountains and forests and things like that for Wild Nacatl and Kird Ape, so I just find that generally you're the more offensive person, so your life total is more expendable. And then, okay, so the creatures wasn't enough basically, so we cut the Path To Exiles and the Lightning Bolts and replaced them with Monastery Swiftspears and Vexing Devil. Monastery Swiftspear doesn't normally go in Zoo a lot because it's just not a great body without a lot of prowess triggers, but generally there's enough with the Manamorphose and the Tarkus commands and the Devastating Summons that you still get the prowess triggers. And to be honest, the fact that it has haste and you can just get damage in quickly is honestly just good enough, to be honest. And then the Vexing Devils are great because they can get your Experiment 1s up to 4/4s, because they're a 4/3, and then if your opponent pays the 4 life, then that's fine. And if they don't, then sometimes you can get like with a Bushwhacker, and sometimes just get in a lot quicker than they were expecting, which can throw their math off a little bit. And then also the other thing I've changed is I've added an extra Devastating Summons. It looks risky to play 2, but I found that the card is just so powerful on turn 3 followed by a Bushwhacker that it's worth playing the extra one because you get more wins out of it than you do losses. And I've even had a game where I've cast Devastating Summons, sack 2 land, and then cast Devastating Summons again to sack 2 land, and then Bushwhackered. And because of the amount of creatures I had, I managed to push through damage before like the Kitchen Finks trigger happened and things like that. So that was really nice. So yeah, and then moving on to the sideboard, we cut the Tin Street Hooligan. I just found that Stony Silence was more efficient. It was nice to have the 2/1 or 2/2 body on it, but to be honest, Stony Silence is just a lot stronger. 2 Path To Exiles. They were originally there was 3 in the main deck, so we just moved them over to the sideboard. They're still good removal. They can get rid of big creatures in the way and things that gain life and things like that. For Eidolo of the Great Revel, this is for any matchup where you don't want Devastating Summons, Vexing Devils, or Manamorphose generally. For example, against Burn, you can't afford to have Manamorphose because if they drop an Eidolon, you're paying 2 life for nothing basically. So that's just like an easy swap against control decks or like Jund and things like that. You don't want Vexing Devil, and you don't want what was the other one? Vexing Devil and was it just things like that? Sorry, but yeah, you just generally want more threat dense creatures instead of like speed and efficiency. So that's just an easy swap to make over. And then just Destructive Revelry is for Boggles and pretty much anything with artifacts or enchantments. 3 Deflecting Palm, that is quite high, but I found that Boggles is not great. If they can like somehow give their guy lifelink or like Daybreak Coronet or Unflinching Courage, it's very hard to race them. So the Deflecting Palms are great. Obviously you have the Revelries, but anything to hedge against those things and like Infect, it's just the more you have the better. And I find that a lot of the decks you don't actually want to sideboard much in, so I think that you can afford to have more slots used on bad matchups. And then 2 Legion Loyalist is for any creature matchup, especially things like Merfolk and like Cord decks, because you're normally like punching into their creatures and making trades which often aren't favourable. So you stick a Legion Loyalist down and like you jam an Tarkus command, and all of a sudden you've got in through a lot of damage, and things like Voice of Resurgence tokens can't block and things like that. It's yeah, it's great for pushing in last bits of damage. It itself doesn't get in for a lot of damage, but it makes your team have trample and first strike, so yeah, it makes you trade more favourably and push through for damage. So yeah, that's the deck, and let's give it a go in a league. And a quick note, I've just realised that I originally had 16 cards in the sideboard. We had 3 Revelries and 3 Deflecting Palms, so I've just cut one of the Deflecting Palms because yeah, the third one is just a bit excessive. Like, if we had an extra spot, then sure, it'd be fine, but if we need to cut, then I think Deflecting Palm is the weakest card for this configuration. So yeah, we just cut a Deflecting Palm, and yeah.